Waharaka Thera Waruna, Wajrāsana,
the undefilable Dhamma.
Exposition of certain types of kamma. We have received a few discussion points from these meritorious devotees requesting a clarification on Janaka kamma, Upasambhaka kamma, Upapilaka kamma, and Upagataka kamma, as well as on Ditta Dhammavedaniya kamma, Upapajja Vedaniya kamma, Aparapariya Vedaniya kamma, Ahosi kamma, Garuka kamma, Asanna kamma, Achinna kamma, and Katatta kamma. They wish to have clarification describing what these are. If a sentient being is deceased from one being and relinked to another, the particular kamma that facilitates such relinking is called a Janaka kamma, or reproductive kamma. It can be called Patisandhi kamma as well. Janaka means to cause birth or arising. The kamma that gives arising to a rebirth in a new bhava is called Janaka kamma. There are two aspects called the kamma and the kammapata. Kamma are actions and kammapata are causes of action. There are the 10 demeritorious kamma and their kammapata. Killing sentient beings, taking what is not given, bodily misconduct are the unwholesome deeds carried out by the body. False speech, malicious speech, harsh speech, idle speech are the unwholesome deeds carried out by word. Covetousness, ill will, wrong views are the unwholesome deeds carried out by mind. These kamma become a kammapata when they fully run their course. When the actions run their full course, they are called kammapata. For the killing sentient beings, or panatipata, to be a kammapata, the doer has to know that the object is a sentient being, there has to be an intention to kill it, there has to be an effort to actualize that intention, as well as the death of the sentient being as a result of that effort. When all 5 conditions have been met, the kamma becomes a kammapata. They make the action complete. If one of the conditions are not met, it would be a kamma, but not a kammapata. Only if it becomes a panatipata kammapata, the kammic energy would amount to a Janaka kamma. For a killing of a sentient being, to give rise to a rebirth, obviously in an unfortunate realm, the panatipata kamma has to be a full panatipata kammapata. Otherwise, it would only yield pravritti vipaka, or incidental kamma results. Pravritti vipaka, or incidental kamma results, transpire during a particular being that is underway since the relinking. Suppose a sentient being has been born as a human being due to the actualization of a fitting patisandhi kamma. Whenever kamma results or vipaka that are encountered while the human being is underway, say during the 80-90 years he is alive, those kamma results are powered by those actions that did not become a full kammapata. Each action has its peripheral actions, or parivara kamma. Both wholesome and unwholesome actions have peripheral actions. Suppose someone is in the process of killing a sentient being. Until the decease of the killed takes place, all actions committed would form part of kamma rather than kammapata. These actions only have the capacity to yield incidental kamma results once the sentient being has been born in a particular bhava. A rebirth can only be prompted by a kammapata which is generated the moment the disease of the killed takes place. Suppose a person goes out to hunt down an animal. While he is still looking for an animal, the actions committed would amount to pranagata kamma only. Still, the animal that would be killed did not get involved. At this moment, the hunter sees an animal. An intention is incurred to kill the animal by shooting it down or by flinging a stone. He exerts some effort to carry out his intention of killing, but the stone or the bullet misses the target. The animal escapes. The actions committed would amount to pranagata kamma only. It does not amount to a pranagata kamma pata. Animal cruelty could have happened, but not pranagata. For pranagata to take place, the disease should occur. Until the death of the animal happens, all actions amount to kamma only. With the death of the animal, it becomes a pranagata kamma pata, as it happens. If this formidable karmic energy that occurs at the moment of the death of the animal would cause a rebirth in an unfortunate realm, such would be a janaka kamma. When a janaka kamma is generated, it could be either good or bad. Pranagata is on the bad side. Giving alms is an example of a good one. After making all the preparations for alms-giving ceremony, it is at the moment of offering only the alms-giving kammapata would be complete. All actions committed up to that moment are peripheral actions, or upasambhaka kamma. Upasambhaka means supportive. When a sentient being is born in a certain being, these upasambhaka kamma would facilitate the birth or the continuity of the life. Upapilaka kamma, on the other hand, deters the strength of the janaka kamma, either by hindering it or by dismantling it. Whatever janaka kamma, either good or bad, the upapilaka kamma works to undermine the strength of the janaka kamma. Suppose a person does a meritorious deed, such as holding an offering ceremony. While he is working on the ceremony, suppose he says this: "It's just a waste of money. I should have spent it on something else. All gone in vain." If this sort of a comment is made, that would contribute to the suppression of the yields of the meritorious deed. Similarly, while performing an unwholesome deed, if the doer is incurred with a thought that his actions is monstrous and that such deeds should not be repeated, this thought becomes counteractive to the unwholesome deed. It would bring down the effect of the unwholesome deed. The upapilaka kamma have their effect on both meritorious and demeritorious deeds. It would cause the manifested being to discontinue. Suppose a sentient being is born as a human. Had he previously killed others, he has to face the possibility of being killed. While his human life is underway, an upagataka kamma intervenes to cause the termination of his human being. Upagataka kamma means destructive. In other words, the manifested arising would be terminated. Suppose a person has committed a murder. He becomes aware of the significance of his sin, and he starts freeing animals who have been declared to be killed. He creates an environment in which those animals could live without fear. He creates opposing energy to counterattack the negative energy of the pranagata kamma. With that, the ill consequences that would have been generated from the pranagata kamma would disintegrate. and he gets the opportunity to live, removing the threat of his life being discontinued. This is the nature of the consequence of such kamma. If some kamma contributes to terminate the resultant energy of another kamma, either good or bad, they are called upaghātaka kamma. These are descriptions of those 4 types of kamma. Now we will consider diṭṭha dhamma vedaniya kamma. Diṭṭha dhamma vedaniya kamma yields its consequences within the same lifetime. The retribution for the sins committed in this life are received in this life itself. Not the entirety of the retribution, but a part of it. When an arahant stands from Nirodha Samapattiya, after remaining in Nirodha Samapattiya for 7 days, the alms offered for the first time has significant consequences. They are yielded within the same life of the offeree. It is identified as diṭṭha dhamma vedaniya. And in the case of Devadatta Thero, he was dragged down to the hell while he was still alive. He had previously committed an anantariya pāpa karma. Even that was diṭṭha dhamma vedaniya. When a kamma has been committed, based on the significance of the generated karmic energy, the most significant part of that energy is received in this life itself. Suppose we hold almsgiving ceremonies to counter the hardships and misfortunes that we are facing. When significant amounts of karmic energy is generated from almsgiving ceremonies, they would deter the effects of bad karma encountered in the form of hardships and misfortunes. The positive yields are received in this life itself, functioning for the benefit of the one who offered alms. This is the nature of diṭṭha dhamma vedaniya kamma. As for the upapajja vedaniya kamma, the karma results are encountered in the next rebirth rather than in this life itself. For example, when an anantariya pāpa karma has been committed, it is imperative for it to yield an unfortunate rebirth in the very next life. It is identified as upapajja vedaniya. Retribution transpires in the next life itself. Aparapariya karma, on the other hand, could yield the karma results at any time during the samsaric journey, as and when the conducive environment is created. It might even take countless times for the karma results to transpire. It would be drawn in even after eons of committing the related karma. When a certain karma yields the related karma results, with such transpiring of karma results, the karmic energy would be annulled. It would not yield karma results again. When a person becomes a sotapanna, all karma that have been committed that would yield a rebirth in an unfortunate realm get annulled. They become incapable of yielding karma results. These karma are called annulled karma or ahosi karma. Let us now consider garuka karma, asana karma, achinna karma and katattha karma. The garuka karma are the most powerful karma. It applies to both merits and demerits. An example would be the 5 cardinal sins or panchanantariya karma. Garuka karma does not mean such karma that should be respected. It means having the highest priority of effect. Irrespective of whether they are good or bad, these karma get the priority. For example, if a practitioner is able to maintain the ability to attain jhana until his death, the jhana samadhi become a garuka karma. he would be born in the Brahma world. If a sentient being possesses a Garuka kamma within the aggregate of the kamma that he has committed, such Garuka kamma would be drawn in at the time of the decease. If there is no Garuka kamma, an asana kamma would get the next priority. There is a misconception that these are death-proximate kamma. Sanna means meaningful, dignified. Had he done a dignified kamma, it would be drawn in as an asana kamma. Killing sentient beings is undignified. Refraining from it is dignified. Taking what is not given is undignified. Refraining from it is dignified. Bodily misconduct is undignified. Refraining from it is dignified. False speech is undignified. Refraining from it is dignified. Accordingly, all 10 unwholesome deeds are undignified. Refraining from all 10 unwholesome deeds is dignified, which is identified as sannaya. Had someone achieved this sannaya, his dignified kamma is bound to yield. It is not possible to drag him to the hell realms. This is the rightful asana karma, which is secondary to the Garuka kamma in its effect. As explained earlier, it is generally accepted as death-proximate kamma. Had a dignified action has been committed previously, they do come in at the proximity of death. Suppose a person is approaching the death. He has led a dignified life and has not committed a Garuka kamma, such as practicing jhana or committing 5 cardinal sins. He has led a dignified, righteous life, refraining from the unwholesome deeds, having understood what is dignified and righteous. He would not be born in a hell realm. The asana kamma would come to his rescue. Thus, the word asana has 2 meanings. One is mundane, which means proximate. The other one is transcendental, which carries a deeper Dhamma message. Nowadays, the transcendental meanings are obscured, and mundane meanings are generally accepted. The one who has led a dignified, righteous life would experience nothing but an asana kamma. It gets priority over the other, less potent kamma. Just because a kamma takes place near the death, it is not possible to designate such kamma as asana kamma. This is a bit of a deep phenomenon. I have told this story in the past also. There was an elderly woman who went on a pilgrimage to Dambadiva, and she had written all about it in her pinpotha. A pinpotha is a record of self-committed meritorious deeds. In order to conveniently provide the old lady with an asana karma, someone recited her record on the pilgrimage to Dambadiva at her request. As per the record, they had sat down under a jackfruit tree and had their supper, and the elderly lady in her deathbed remembered the incident and told her daughter, "My daughter, you should have seen that jackfruit tree. It was bearing fruits all over, even on its root. You have no idea as to how much I adore it." She let out those words and she died. Was she provided with the asana kamma of visiting Dambadiva? Her greed won over. She forgot all about the visit to Dambadiva. There was no asana karma. Therefore, an achina kamma won over. An achina kamma is a kamma that is frequently committed habitually. These are quite unique to the individual and are frequently committed. If there is such an action pattern, they would be drawn in the absence of an asanna kamma, and that would dictate terms as to where the individual would be reborn. Then there are those kamma that are called katattha karma. These relate to all other kamma that have been committed during the samsara. Any kamma would be drawn in. This kamma would form part of the aparapariya kamma that we discussed earlier. If the individual is not an arahant, such kamma would actualize. At the time of the decease, any kamma that is fitting would be drawn in to give rise to kamma, kamma nimitti, gati nimitti, to facilitate the relinking.
Waharaka Thera Waruna Wajrāsana.
The undefilable Dhamma.